Gabriel, thank you for coming back, sir.
Hey,
Appreciate
what's
it.
up? Yes.
Round three.
Round three, yeah. When
Yeah.
was the last one that we did? Like about a year ago?
Yeah, I would say right around a year ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? Technically 11 months ago, I think.
Really?
Yeah. If we're gonna get technical, yeah.
Okay, so you're lucky. You got two in 1 year.
Yeah. Every time I see you, I'm like, I go, wow, there he is. There's
Something
Gabriel. Yeah, but we saw each other about a week ago, in Long
like that?
Beach. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. How'd you enjoy the show?
That was awesome.
Yeah. How'd you enjoy the place?
I've been there before, like
Okay.
twice, but I've never seen a concert there, and it was quite interesting. I never thought about a concert being held there before, but it was rad.
Yeah, was it like, is it just like a gallery bar usually, or is it an event space?
I know that it's an art gallery. That's what I know it from. I've just like seen art there, and I know there's like a little store there. And for the folks at home, we're talking about this place called the Compound in Long Beach.
Calm down.
The
Yes.
Compound, and then later on, I learned that they serve food there sometimes, and I've
Yeah.
never eaten there ever. So that was
No,
news to me.
they had the whole 9 yards. They had food, they had drinks, they had art, they had Levitation Room. We actually haven't played Long Beach well, I was about to like really exaggerate it. But now that I think about it, I think we did like the inaugural year of the Happy Sunday Fest that I believe Scott Montoya puts on.
Shout out to Scott and Julia.
But we hadn't played Long Beach since their first one, and that was a while ago, like 5, 6 years ago. And even before that, we played Long Beach at Alex's bar when we were a very young band, and definitely playing Alex's bar was biting off way more than we can chew.
Hmm.
Like good sized venue, and we're barely bringing our friends over to the show. It's one of those learning processes as a band.
Yeah.
Then when we played Long Beach for the Happy Sunday Fest, we were in a weird spot because we had just lost like a bass player, and we had like a friend fill in on bass. So it was kind of like a random. I think the first two experiences of Levitation Room in Long Beach were not the most optimal ones. So this last one is like, okay, we brought the Voltron. We got Glenn there. We had our real bass player playing bass.
Shout out to
And
Kevin.
shout out to Kev. And so, we were there. We were
Yeah.
all, yeah.
Yeah, it was fantastic performance. It's in the non-conventional space to
Yeah.
do that. Yeah.
Well, it's nice to do those things. Like we just did two tours. We just did the whole east and west coast of the United States. And fortunately for us, we get to go to venues and clubs that are decent size, and they have all the bells and whistles you can think of. So sometimes it's nice to play somewhere that's a little bit different and kind of even like, let's say, taking it back to these unconventional places that we would take a show there just because we had no choice. But it's fun, it makes things exciting, kind of tests us out like what we can do under different circumstances.
Right. Did it take you back to I want to say playing the organic health store? Like
Oh
like like
yeah.
the like those
Phoenix by
days?
four, something like that. I mean, maybe not that small of a place, but yeah, an unconventional place because a lot of people that I knew in Long Beach or frequent Long Beach are like some people were like you, like I've been there before, but never for a show,
No,
right? Uh,
ever.
so it was kind of like, yeah, kind of trying new things out.
That's what the summer's all about though, right? It's like trying new things and
Trying new things, combing your hair a different way,
oh man.
trying to remember doing that, like in
I remember trying, I can't. There's no way. There's no way I
really.
could brush it this way. No
I
way.
I remember like as a teenager for sure, like summertime was like when you're rediscovering for the new year, right? Like a haircut or a style of clothes or you know what I mean? So
A necklace or something like
a
that, yeah.
necklace, yeah, jewelry, you know what I mean? An ear piercing maybe.
Did you ever get your ear pierced ever?
Yeah, it is pierced right now.
Oh, dang. Okay,
And I
cool.
pierced it myself when I was like 15 or 14.
That's hardcore.
Yeah, I was in my room and I wanted a piercing, and I think my brother or a friend was supposed to take me to the mall and act like my, you know,
Guardian.
guardian and just get it pierced, but for some reason it wasn't coming through. And I was just in my room, and a friend of mine had just pierced their ear with like just a needle, sewing needle.
Just like getting it hot or just
Just
piercing right through.
I think I don't know how they did it, but and I was just bored in my room. I just really wanted it, and I had a needle, but I didn't have like a hand sewing needle, like a nice thin one, that you could just pull through, right?
Mm.
Ideally, I had a sewing machine needle, which are like a lot thicker than a regular needle, right? And I like, yeah, I burned it to sanitize, like rubbing alcohol it, and I had my like a bunch of ice, and I just iced it till I thought it was numb. And then I just went for it. And I remember piercing it, but it wouldn't go through the back. Like that last layer of skin just wouldn't poke through. And I remember finally doing it and being like, oh, like crying, and then putting in the earring, crying. And the earring was like a dangler. So it wasn't like I have something in there to hold the hole. It was like holding the hole, but like cooling down. So for sure it got infected. And I was trying to hide it from my mom. I had like long hair. So I thought like, oh, I just put my hair over it, and it worked for a little while. And then one day I'm skateboarding home, and like going one way and my mom's going the other way in a car. And my hair is just flowing while I'm skateboarding. And I think I'm badass because like I can feel the dangler, like no one's like me.
Nah, no, no one.
And I'm skateboarding and I see my mom coming, and I even think like, oh shit. And she sees, and she's just like I saw it, like we'll talk about it when I get home situation, but I was like, what are we gonna do? Like it's already done. It's already past the infected stage.
I already iced it. The whole thing's done.
Done deal. But then I like for years I didn't have an earring, like almost all of my 20s. And then I saw my drummer John with an earring. I was like, damn, you got your ear pierced? I have my ear pierced. He's like, no way. And I was like, I think. So I went and bought an earring. I'm like, oh, the hole's still there. There it is. It's my tribute to Michael Jordan.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
right, right. Of
The big hoop.
course. MJ, when you introduce yourself or you're introduced to new people, like a group or something like that, are you saying Gabriel or are you saying Gabe?
I say Gabriel. Yeah. I give him my Christian name
Right, right,
right
right.
now. But then usually like with my name, people are like instantly like, Gabe cool? You cool with Gabe? I'm like, yeah, it's cool.
Oh, they clear it by you.
Yeah. Which I appreciate.
Hmm.
Like most people like call me Gabriel, right? But like I know you're like a friend of mine if you're calling me Gabe. Or what people, if I know you're really close to me, you call me Gabes.
Ooh, yeah, a little plural on that.
Yeah, so it's like that's how I know like you've known me for a long time if you're calling me Gabes. Like I don't know why it makes it that much more, significant.
We've covered some stuff on here, like on the first two times, but we're really getting into nitty gritty now. Like this is it.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is this is what everyone came for.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nicknames. Well, and let me just ask you this though. If somebody hits you like, hey, my name's Steven, are you instantly doing a Steve on that? Or are you saying the whole shebang?
I want to say I do the whole shebang, but like realistically, I'm the kind of guy that's already abbreviating, like, you know,
Taking the liberty. Yeah.
unless like it's apparent that everyone calls someone Steven, right? Like actually, that's funny you use that or Steve, because my cousin, who I'm pretty close with, her boyfriend is named Steven. I don't know anyone that calls him Steve,
Mm.
so he's just a straight up Steven.
Yeah.
Shout out Steven.
Shout out Steven. I feel like some people do not like that though. If you immediately take that liberty, like, no, no, let me change it up.
You're
Yeah.
right. And I work with kids, right? From young kids to teenagers. And sometimes a name will come up and I will give them a nickname. And they're like, no, that's not me. I'm like, it doesn't make you a totally different person, but okay, I'll respect it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah.
But also if it's your homie and you give him a nickname, at least for a little bit, and like, nah, that's not it. It's like, nah, that's it now. Like
Yeah.
you're whatever, uncrustable
on
or whatever it is.
on on tour, our first tour of the year, the West Coast tour, the legendary, almost chaotic, probably the most chaotic tour we've ever had, um, logistically. Um, for some reason, I forgot where I got it from. I think from like a comedian, like on a podcast, just noticing that they always say "big dog." You know what I mean? So on tour, I'm just like calling everyone Big Dog. Oh, thanks, Big Dog. Yo, Big Dog, to where everyone in the van was picking it up too, you know? And so the whole tour, this past like February to March, everyone that we came across was Big Dog, it didn't matter who. And then we did a few dates with this band, Bolero from San Francisco. And the good guys, good friends of ours, and we did a few shows with them, and they noticed that we were calling all of them Big Dog. To where one of them approached us like at a show, like the next day we're trying to get each to the show, and when they get there, he's like, "Yo, Big Dog." I'm like, I was picking it up.
No, it's good. You gotta spread that around.
Yeah, we gotta spread it around. We didn't take it with us though on the East Coast tour for whatever reason. I think we kind of like we're all big dogged out.
Yeah, but there has to be a substitute. Like maybe Big Dog's just like a regional thing, and
Right,
then
it's a
you
West
got
Coast thing, really.
when you're, let's say you're going through a drive-through, when the person who's handing you the bag hands you the bag, do you say like thanks chief or thanks man or boss man? What are you throwing out there?
That's a big dog moment.
You hit him with the BD.
I've hit him with a BD, dude. It's big dog. And sometimes you don't even say thanks. You just go for the food and go, big dog. Or what I'd
Yeah.
like to do sometimes, I always think about doing it, is like, like get it and just be like, thanks, love you. Or just do something else. Like, I think like Tom Segura and their podcast would tell like people to record them getting it and being like, thanks, mom.
Hit him hit
see
him,
if
hit
any,
him with
see,
hit him
see,
with
see if anyone notices.
Yeah, because a lot of times people are on autopilot with like that stuff.
Yeah. Actually, maybe because when like as of late, the last couple, not proud to say, it's been pretty recent. The last couple drive-throughs have been late at night. And late at night comes with the munchies, right? So I feel like I'm at the drive-through, and I'm not even like it's not even a conversation, but in my head it's like I can't even hold this conversation right now. It's like it's too much. I give them the card, they give it back. I have to get the bag. I got to be in order, and then I got to go. I'm like, I feel like the pressure's on to perform.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, you gotta come and it's gonna be a performance. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they know big dog's coming through.
Yeah, yeah. These are big dog hours, so like we're expecting him anytime now.
Big dog hours indeed, yes.
These are big dog hours.
Well, last time we were talking about the obscure hours.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Now we're on the big dog hours. When you find yourself at a Del Taco at 2 a.m., you made it.
Is that the primary spot that you're hitting late at night?
For me, yeah. Or In and Out. Those are the two
Mm,
for me. I mean, not that, some people are always like, I would never go to McDonald's because X, Y, Z. But it's like it's all the same. It's really the same. I just go for what the cheapest would be at the moment because I would hate to like one eat that food late at night and then two think about damn I just spent like $15 at that like in the middle of the night on food that's like horrible for me. At least like at Dell I could do a $5 banger. I don't feel that bad about anything.
yeah, In-N-Out's price is pretty good. The line, though, I don't know.
You gotta do something about that line.
Yeah.
uh,
But they're already sending people out, further and further out of the things. It's like I think they're doing the most that they could be doing. I don't know
yeah,
though. I
I
don't
mean,
know.
man, I freaking on our last tour on the East Coast. Uh, we're we're doing fine. We're eating tasteful cuisines of the regions and blah blah blahs, right? Diners of America. But definitely after a while, it's like, man, I just want a regular In-N-Out burger. Like that sounds like perfect right now. So we need more of them.
How
I
many
mean,
more? Like, give me like a number.
I think like five on the East Coast would do me.
Okay.
Me personally.
And
Yeah.
that's spread out or
That's
like
spread out, yeah. Not all of them in North Carolina. No,
it's with spread. That's with spread on that.
right. But when we were like finally, because we drove from our East Coast tour, we drove from LA, we played Austin Psych Fest, and then from Austin we went to New Orleans, Florida, and then made our way up east, right? And then when we made our way up east, we had to come back down. Our last show was in Texas, so we had to do this whole loop back to Texas, right? But by the time we were making our way to Texas, we were like, one of the things I never thought I'd say, I was like, I can't wait to be in Texas because they have In-N-Out. You know what I mean? So, and when we got to Texas, I don't think we ever ate In-N-Out. So that was
But still, just the joy of knowing that it was there, knowing that
momentum,
it's yeah, it's
builds
possible.
momentum. Yeah,
Yeah.
anything's possible.
Anything's possible when there's in and out within the region.
Sure, that's what I say.
Um, Going back to the most recent show at the a more irregular space of the compound. Have you ever visited a kind of unconventional space that you thought like that this would be a cool place to play a show?
I mean, yeah, plenty of times in my life, or even been to these unconventional places with a band playing and thinking, damn, that should have been us. You know, like for some reason I could think of one in right now in uh Chinatown. I forget what it was called, but it was a really cool like art gallery, and there was like a I don't know like a downstairs, and then the upstairs kind of was pretty cool because it had like the center you can just look down into the
Mm,
gallery, right? So
like ledges or something like a
yeah,
balcony that
exactly.
circles. Yeah,
So it was pretty cool, and there was like a band playing like in the middle of the area. So when people were upstairs, you can look down and still see the band.
it's cool.
So it's pretty cool. I forget like what the art or who the art was,
But
but it was
it was cool art though, right?
beautiful art. Yeah, it was the best art of all the art. And yeah, places like that. Yeah, there's been so many, man. There used to be a spot in downtown. I think it was off of like I want to say like 6th or 7th Street, and it was like a warehouse space, and there was like a big old half pipe in right? And it was kind of weird because it's like a warehouse space, and then it ends with the half pipe, and then there's a wall. It's like against the wall, but the wall has a door, and that's where the hangout area is outside. So you have to walk through the half pipe. That's where bands would play. I think like I've seen like the Warlocks there. I didn't see them, but I know they play there, like bands like Darker My Love. This is like 2010, 12 era, of Los Angeles. And that was pretty rad in another space, like looking at Julian and be like, if we played this spot, it'd go off.
Did you rip the ramp?
No, I did not. I never was. I did skateboard when I was younger, but I never was a vert, right? Not even able to like really drop in half pipe.
Well, yeah, I mean that's just like it's not readily available. It's in like situations
No.
like that that you
Well,
like see it. You know, you
right.
go,
Well,
oh, well, I wish I skated transition better. You know,
yeah. I think the first time when I was skateboarding, the first time I went to like the Vans skate park at Orange or whatever, right? That was like my first time in like a ramp or any kind of like skate park kind of obstacles and stuff, pyramids and stuff.
yeah.
And I remember being excited and we're rolling in, and me and my buddy, and I go up to the first little quarter pipe thinking like, oh, I'm just gonna go up and come back down, but like, oh boy, I ate some shit. But now kids are all there's skate parks everywhere. Like it's like natural to be able to drop in now, you know.
Yeah, which is wild.
It is wild. It's not
Yeah, I
easy.
mean, even seeing it like as a kid, because it's pretty close to where I am,
Mm.
and going down there and Orange, just like seeing that, like whoa, like that's on another, like the huge bowl, the combi bowl, and all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
When was the last time that you skated or touched a skateboard?
Oh, I mean, touch the skateboard, at least like within this year. for
Okay.
sure. I think like
The
hanging out
the calendar year of 2024, you've been on a board.
maybe 2024, 23.
Okay. Okay. All right. On that cusp. Right
Yeah,
around that.
exactly. But like I like in my head, it's like you don't want to be what's his name, Uncle Rico
Mm-hmm.
of Napoleon Dynamite. Like, man, I bet you I could throw a football over the mountains, right? Like, I don't want to get on a skateboard and be like, yeah, I used to like 360 flip and jump off stairs and go try it again, you know? Like, I had to be chill. I remember like I was hanging with my niece and she had like rollerblades on and my brother had a board at his house. So I was like, well, I'll hang out outside with you with the board and like struggling to get like a kick flip and heel flip down, but also just thinking like I'm not trying to fall on my ass right now too. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
a it's a different world.
Right. When was the last time you landed just like a kickflip, for instance?
I mean that in that moment, that like within a year, I landed a kick flip, still got it.
I like that you didn't brag before. You're like, I'm not gonna say what I've been up to, but yeah, so you've been putting together a part recently.
I got a line coming out. I got a line coming.
I'm stoked to see it.
We'll see. Yeah, yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Do you currently own a board?
No, believe it or not, that's kind of like a shame, you know?
Yeah.
I always say, I think like for sure once a year I say, I'm gonna get a board. And then I never do. Or I think one time I've like I'm gonna get a board and then go to a shop and then just like browse around and be like, fuck, this thing's expensive. I'm out. You know, I'd rather go. I don't know. I just it's a lot of money.
It is. It
Yeah.
is. But I mean, imagine how many heel flips and skate clips you'll get out of it, you know?
I did think about the viewership, the clicks, viral potential. You know, I don't think the world's ready is the thing.
So, I mean, this is like kind of like the beginning of the soft launch for this product, the project.
Project, career, right? Revitalize skateboarding late in life, you know?
Late in life. Dude, it's not that late in life. It's early.
No. Yeah, I know, but definitely like I do think about it. Like I should have kept skateboarding. Like I don't know why I thought like I could only be a punk rock kid and not do both. You know, like
Yeah.
I had to just play guitar now. And that's it.
Well, we're fixing that now. And so you need your local shop to be sponsoring you. Maybe sponsor a tour, perhaps.
Sponsor a tour, looking at a drink endorsement as well, you know, clothing. I think they're gonna bring back Osiris just for me. Actually, no, I think Osiris's are still around, right?
Osiris
Like,
is
I think
have
like
reared its head again. Yeah.
right, yeah, I was at the mall recently buying shoes for my niece. It's her birthday, and I was like, "Where the fuck do you buy shoes at?" You know, like I was like, "Oh yeah, the mall, right?" There's literally a kid's Foot Locker, and so I'm walking through, and I forgot what store, Zoomies, or
Mm-hmm.
what's the other skate shop in malls?
Zoomies is the big one. And there's that other one. I'm forgetting. But I mean like we're pretty hardcore on the Zoomies around those
Right,
parts.
I think it was the Zoomies and the shoes, like the wall of shoes. This is the display was by the door, and I remember walking by, and I'm like, "Were those D3s I just saw? Osiris's?" Like, wow. I mean, the early 2000s, late 90s are like in again, so totally makes sense that probably like big old puffy skate shoes are gonna come back too.
Dude, I did not like them when they were popular, and I don't like them now. That's just me, though.
Sure,
You know,
yeah. I mean, for sure, I was a victim of the time, right? You know, like, but I wasn't like so like crazy. Remember, I don't know if you ever remember, but like people, obviously there would be like the Osiris or I don't know, some other puffy audios. Remember
audios or
audios,
DCs were kind of puffy.
DCs and Buffy, DVS,
DVS
right?
had some puffy ones.
But what
Hmm.
people would do, remember, they would get the old tongues from their old shoes, cut it out, and stuff it into the already puffy shoes. So it was like a burger with too much stuff in it, and it's just flopping out. You know, everything's just.
Yeah,
And I wonder if that's gonna come back. You know what I mean?
I mean, they say there's nothing new, you know, everything just gets re
Recycled, right?
recycled.
Revived.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. So if the kids really want to bring it back, late 90s, early 2000s, you got to stuff to tons,
you
you
gotta
know?
stuff the tongues. That's if you want to do it
Yeah,
legitimately. Yeah.
legitimate.
Well, let me ask you this, Gabriel.
Sure.
Did you say that I didn't hit the Gabe or the
I,
Gabes?
I thought you were gonna hit a big dog.
I also didn't hit a big dog. We got time though. I might still hit it. Who knows? Um, did you go from rocking more skate stuff to because like I when I see you, I sometimes see you in like boots and
Sure.
kind of more dressier
Yeah.
wear.
Yeah.
Did you go from like the skating culture directly to that? Directly like more stylish outfits and whatnot?
I think that was I mean a little bit. Like I think skateboarding, I already had an interest for music, and within skateboarding culture, there's music happening in skate parks. And I definitely like my ears would perk up every time a cool song would come on and
Well, one would perk up more than the other one because you got the
the
earring in
earring.
one. Yeah.
At the time it was dangling too.
Yeah, yeah, so it's like that's extra weight. Yeah.
And I would always, obviously find myself leaning towards like the aggressive music and things like that. And so yeah, I think over time I wanted to get into just being a musician. I was kind of a creative person, so I was like, I thought the idea of like looking like a rocker, I guess, looking the part, let's say, you know what I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
is kind of a cool thing. You're kind of recreating yourself, and it is expressive because it takes some courage to like dress differently and be of the world, right? And but at the same time, I mean, this is a long time ago where like doing that, like you walk down the street, you're getting called all kinds of things, all kinds of looks, you know what I mean? Like skinny jeans weren't even around. Like I remember me and my friends had to sew our own pants tight. That's why I had a sewing machine. That's why I had a sewing machine needle to pierce my ear, right? And
Multi uses, multi
multi
uses.
uses. And then of course, as I started getting more outside of skateboarding, more into music, not just the music itself, the style itself. So trying things out. Like I was the kid in high school wearing creepers, blue suede creepers, red leather creepers. I mean,
Yeah.
I wish now in retrospect, I wish I still had them. You know what I
You
mean?
could still get them. You
I
could
could, but I wish I had those.
I'll send you a link, dude.
Okay.
Anyways.
Okay. And but as I got older and be more confident in myself and just being more involved in being a musician, I've always just identified, that creative side and being an artist and musician comes with a little bit of that, just a style or a little bit of style. I mean, there's moments, on tour where it's just like so freaking humid and so like we're all going t-shirt and jeans and keep it casual. Casual cool, is
Cash.
what we call it,
Cash, for
casual
sure.
cool. But
Casual cool that might be the words of the summer.
yeah,
Casual cool.
casual cool. So I mean that's definitely a phrase within the Levitation Room camp, sometimes. And
I
yeah, I
like
don't
it.
know. For me, it just like, you look good, you feel good, you play good, and I've always kind of had, I guess, the interest. I'm not like a fashion guy, right? Like, oh, this summer it's all about whatever, right? But I've always
It's casual and cool this summer.
just kind
That's
of all year actually, really,
okay. Right.
for me,
No.
for the big dogs,
For the big dogs.
all year. And so yeah, I think since I was like, I guess a teenager, I've always had like I wouldn't say the knack, but the interest in just like expressing myself through dressing certain ways, right? Or just being a rocker foo, right? Yeah,
Right. Very nice. Now, I also see you in Converse a lot, and I do see you're shooting hoops quite often,
I'd be shooting hoops
and you're doing it in the proper footwear.
and dogs. Yeah, of course.
In
No,
in Doc Martens.
I'm going for that height, that extra half inch,
Right, yeah, just
No.
hook shot or
Um,
whatever. Yeah.
love Converse, right? It's a great. What I was into for a while was the Nike Blazers, the
Mm.
77s. But for a while, I just felt like my foot was getting too sweaty. The leather, the synthetic leather was just too hot for my foot, right? But when
Yeah.
I'm out there playing basketball, believe it or not, I am wearing basketball shoes, right? And more lately, when I would get basketball shoes, I try to get like really neutral, simple looking basketball shoes, all black, black and white, right? Something. But now I'm kind of into the idea of like buying these outrageous, silly looking basketball shoes, right? Because it's kind of part of the, I don't know, the culture of it, right? Of it. But so yeah, I've been trying to look into recently I did get some pretty wild ones, but not that crazy. Right. So my next step is to go something like very colorful and just wild. They're also really comfortable. Like I get why people wear like sneakers because they're like when they're brand new, they feel fucking amazing. But I also feel like these things look dumb. Like how are you gonna wear pants with, you know, it's almost like wearing the puffy skate shoes.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
It is
But
reminiscent of that, it
but
seems.
but at least like on the basketball court, it's like, oh, it's function.
I
You know,
think that there should be a Levitation Room tour that everyone just gets some wild sneakers and
and that's what we
yeah.
do on stage.
Yeah.
John one tour showed up like at the airport with these really funky like Nike, Adidas, some kind of like functional training shoe. And at first we were like, hey, but then I was like, your feet are probably the most comfortable. You know what I mean? Like I'm showing up with like Converse that the heels almost all torn off and stuff like that.
Also comfortable. Everyone's sense of comfortable changes.
Right. It's easy. It's for ventilation.
Yeah,
So
I mean, we're not wearing blazers anymore. We gotta keep the feet cool.
keep it cool and casual. Keep it casual, cool.
And that's again, that's not just summer 2024. That's 2024 in general.
Yeah, 12 months.
Yeah.
13 for me, but 12 months.
This is the kind of stuff that I bring you on here for, Gabe.
Yeah,
This is it.
this is
Yeah.
it.
This
The
is
inside
it.
scoops like this, right? The inside mind of a casual cool of a big
Yeah.
dog.
I'm a big dog who's casual and cool, of course. I'm not gonna really get this anywhere else. Are the aspects that make a show good for you as a performer the same aspects that make a show good for you as an attendee?
Um, yeah, I would definitely say so, right? And some of the things that like I wouldn't say always go out of my way to do, but like doing things so that the attendee can be more enjoyable. Like for example, we didn't do it for the Long Beach show, my bad, but like doing a projections for shows and stuff like that. Like we hire people to do videos for us, and like for me, it feels cool. I can't see the projections, but on stage the lighting feels cool and it's darker, and you could just see the light like kind of like blaring at you. But I know it makes the experience that much better for the audience members, right? Like just more happening visually. Um, so yeah, I think it's the same. You want good sound, right? You want the band to be balanced. You want the band to like, for me, like I would imagine if I'm feeling comfortable on stage and projecting that, then the crowd is going to get into it a little bit more, right? And so will me and the guys, right? So I think they kind of go hand in hand. That what I'm looking for on stage is the same thing people are looking for in the crowd a little bit, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And although there was no visuals, or maybe there was a little visual. I can't really remember. Maybe there was something in the back. I could
There's
be
just
wrong
like
about that.
moody lighting. I thought the lighting was cool,
The lighting
right?
was really good. Yeah.
Lighting does a lot too, but when you have the projections with the lighting, then it's like, okay, now we're in a different dimension. Now we're in the levitation.
I want to say this for the people who haven't seen the band yet. If Levitation Rooms come into a town or a city or an in and out near you, go to the room that they're going to be performing at beforehand to just get the vibe of it. Then come back when they play and you tell me there's no difference.
We try. We do our best. At the Continental, no, Constellation Room show with Bugarins.
Yeah, yeah. I was. That was
That was
the.
like earlier in the year at the
Hmm.
end of the tour.
I
See,
was there.
that
That was
one
a good
was
one.
really rad too. Great place, but sometimes, but like, sometimes the visual stuff and all that, like that, you know, a place like that, they can do it, but it's a little more work, right? And I think it's worth it to do it because sometimes it's just like it's a nice stage. It's not big, right? But like I feel like sometimes all night, like say it's a three band bill. Band one's on, it's just the stage and the lighting. Band two's on, it's just the stage and the lighting. And then like the main band, it's us. We want it to change. I want it to change differently. I want it to feel different. It's not just like we're just another band on that stage with the same, aura or whatever it is.
Visuals, we'll
Visual,
say.
right? Or just lighting too, you know what I mean?
Lighting. Visual
Uh,
lighting. Yeah.
Visuals, lighting, you just want to make it a little bit different, like even like you want to make it a show, right? Not just like a performance, but like the Lakers, if you ever watch them on basketball, I think they're one of the only basketball, maybe more people do it now, but for the longest time they were one of the only like basketball or even sports teams where the crowd, if you watch it on TV, is dimmed and like the stage or the court is like highlighted like a stage. It's a show. You know what I mean? So watching the Lakers on TV is far more different than watching two or three more basketball games prior to that. You'll notice the difference.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that's what I try to bring when we get on stage and things like that. We even travel. Be back. Well, I still bring it. I bought like a really nice projector, like a video projector, so I could put the laptop and make sure the projections are there. So if the venue doesn't have it, I have it, right? But like I
You're coming in clutch. You said no worries. I got it.
big dog moves, right? And
Big dog
sometimes
energy. BDE.
it,
Big dog energy.
sometimes the venue's like, yeah, good luck setting it up. And I'm like, well, thanks for the help, And it's like, hello, it's like a little investment and it goes a long way. Every other band wants to use one. And but now fortunately, this like past couple of tours this year, I brought it still. And unfortunately for us, most venues had their own projector already, or someone was coming through to do some cool stuff. And it's like sick, finally. Like I think that's a sign of things changing a little bit and growth of where we're going and playing, right? It's not these like DIY spots that may or may not have a projector. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. People are rocking Osiris's, bringing their own projectors.
Osiris, DCs,
The times they are changing. I forgot who wrote that. Escaped my mind right now, but yeah.
BD,
Big Dog, yeah. Right.
that big dog. Bob Dylan also. I think he helped
Oh
cover it.
yeah, that's a guy. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Robert Zimmerman, I,
Robert
I
Zimmerman.
believe is his name.
Yes.
Yeah. Uh, and it. I mean, I don't know how you get from Zimmerman to Dylan, but it happened. If that
Somewhere
is
along the way.
indeed his real name, I don't know though.
No one really knows. That's the thing.
I mean, the whatever the medal. What's that? The Nobel
Oh,
Peace
right.
Prize probably
Right.
has the real name on it. I don't know though.
I heard he didn't even go to accept it. I mean, he probably was sent to him or whatever, but like I think it's like usually a big deal, right? Like to go get something from the president, but we didn't.
But not for Bob.
Not from BD. That's a BD move.
That's a definite BD move for sure. Um, going back to these kind of spaces and playing different areas, Long Beach and these sorts of places.
Right.
Were there certain areas in the county of Los Angeles that you guys just didn't hit for a while for whatever reason? Like you never played. I mean, I'm just using this as an example, like Silver Lake, like that area or something like that.
I mean, yeah, there's a few. Long Beach was one of them. I think people in Long Beach wouldn't consider Long Beach, LA area, right? But that's one of them. I would even say like the west side of LA. We rarely frequent Venice, Culver City, or places like that. Um,
Sherman Oaks,
Sherman,
West Side.
that's like a whole nother world to me. I don't think we've even played like Sherman Oaks or Burbank or like the San Fernando Valley, Canoga Park.
Oh yeah,
uh,
yeah.
Ventura. That's like way far out, but like
Laverne.
Laverne. We never played Laverne, but we played what would be closest to Laverne? Pomona. Yeah, Pomona. We've done Pomona.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
I would say that the West Side, like we did like a year, maybe 2 years now. We played at this place called the Venice West. Have you heard of
Mm.
that place?
I have. A lot of people are playing this place and I gotta make it out there.
It's pretty cool. It feels good. Like it's in like I forget what the Abbot Kinney.
Mm-hmm.
That's the area of like Venice that it's in. Very
Right.
nice, fluent, but
Dogtown. This kind of stuff. Yeah.
yeah, and it's a cool spot. And we played there a couple years ago, but prior to that, like we would play at places in Venice. Like I think we played one time this like parking lot of a surf shop many years ago, and it was actually pretty cool. And then we played. There's this place called what's it called? I want to say like the Town or something like that. It's like on the Venice Beach Boardwalk, and it's a bar, but like they have like it used to be like their speakeasy. Like the floor opens up and there's a stairway, and
Oh, that's cool.
it's like an underground bar, and it's a big empty space, and they have bands playing. You know, when we played there with our friend Joel Jerome a couple times, like when we couldn't get shows anyway. You know,
Joel Jerome, huh?
Joel Jerome, he used to be, or he still is. He's had a group called Babies on Acid.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Yeah, he's been in other projects and other monikers as well. Really good songwriter and producer, and just like a voice of an angel, right? And so yeah, we haven't been in places like that in a long time. I mean, even like let's say Pasadena. You know, we're pretty close to Pasadena, but it's like it's a shame that there really isn't anything there. Like there is like a little bar there called
Barney's Beanery.
no, but there is one there. You're right. Yeah, I thought you were gonna really say it right now.
Yeah, well,
Um,
I mean, I really did say Barney's Beanery.
no,
That's a
but
wild place. That's
the
yeah.
name of the bar that I'm thinking about, what's it called? I forget what it's called, but it's a small bar, and I think that's the only place in that area that I can think of that has like somewhat local bands,
Hmm.
right? But back in the day, from what I've seen, like there used to be all kinds of punk shows and new wave shows at a place called Perkin Palace in Pasadena. Like The Cure's played there, GBH, and you name it. Like all these bands, and it's kind of crazy to see like old flyers like in Pasadena. Like why doesn't that exist anymore? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think like somewhat strategically haven't played in like Silver Lake or Echo Park in a long time because we spend a lot of time there. That was kind of, I wouldn't say that's where we started, but when we started, a lot of shows were happening there. And so we found ourselves playing there, you know? And, but now it's like, I think all there is to play there is like the Echoplex, El Cid, or no, not El Cid. Is it El Cid? Yeah, El Cid.
Yeah, I feel like it's around that area. Yeah.
Yeah. What else is there?
Barney's Beanery in Hollywood.
The Barney Beanery tour.
That
But
would be that'd be a crazy string of shows at the
but it's
Vineyard.
crazy how like it's changed. I was just on Sunset Boulevard for my birthday, right? Like went to for some drinks, and I was just thinking like across from where we were at, there's this like spot called Monty's Burger, right? It's like I think it's like a burger spot, but they have like vegan options too, right? And it's like this nice like diner 50s looking. I've never been there, but I see from the outside. But what it once was, it used to be this place called Lot One, which was this little DIY cafe. And then they had a little side room and they would host shows there. Like one of our first shows were there. So many bands that I can name off played in this little spot that doesn't exist there.
Hmm.
It's crazy. Like for sure, there's a new batch of young people out there. For sure, there's places that are underground or unconventional spaces, but like, are there really? Are like young people taking those chances, or are businesses allowing these artists to have these spaces, or do they have to be like they have to come packaged and with the press kit and be ready to present for the Echo, right? Be willing to sell a sellout show, being a bunch of nobodies for the Echo, right? but I'm pretty sure they're somewhere. Like, I just don't know where they're at. Because like back in the day, like bands like Dog Bloom in Orange County had their warehouse space where they hosted shows, and it was kind of like these places that obviously if you knew, you knew, but it was also like a happening. It wasn't just their band, it was other bands. The Night Beats. I've seen the Night Beats at a warehouse there, and there's a lot of these things happening, and I'm pretty sure they are happening. But I can imagine how much harder it is because it's so expensive to like maintain these places. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like even like in Echo Park again, there's this under the freeway of like where the Echo's at, like right next to the Echoplex, down on the bottom. I think it's Glendale, right? There
I
used to be
want to say
this
so. Yeah.
there used to be this place that like it was random. It was like I believe it was an apartment, but you walk up these stairs and it was like this lounge. And it was like someone's house, I think, and they would always have shows and always have like poetry, and that's not happening anymore. Chances are now it's like a real estate office or something like that.
Which is also good.
People need to buy real estate, dude.
People
We
gotta
need to
buy.
sell. But I mean, I try to go to them a little bit more. Like if I hear about like an event like that, just to see what's happening. I saw this band, La Lome.
Yeah, they're
They're
awesome.
they're a great band. They kind of like I think they're all like musicians of pedigree for sure. They play great, right?
I mean,
But
that's the League of Musicians, the Los Angeles
yes,
League
they
of
are.
Musicians.
They're in a league of their own. And I saw them when they were like first starting up at two places. This really small bar, 1642, that's like this more of a jazz ragtime, very like early 20th century theme. Like they have like legit players, like banjo players, ragtime piano players, La Lone playing. And I saw them at a different bar or like little places, and it was cool to see that. And now it's like they've been on the up and up since I saw them. But tonight I might go see them at a small spot in Montebello. My buddy's doing like a food pop up at this like they call it like a little cultural center. Like again, one of these little places. It's a storefront, but these people kind of just keep it. They run it for galleries, little events. I think they run their little side business out of it, right? Like floral arrangements and stuff, not like drugs.
No,
And
only the good flower.
yeah,
Good.
good flower,
Yeah.
right? And my buddy makes food and he does pop ups. And today they're hosting like two bands, La Lome and another band adjacent to La Lome, right?
Hmm.
So that's pretty cool. These things do happen, right? But like, I'm pretty sure there's more happening somewhere. I just don't know. They're exciting. I'm pretty sure. I want to know because I want to see like what's the new things happening here because there's like a resurgence of young minds, fresh musicians, and what's happening. I went to Permanent Roadhouse. You ever go there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I
I,
don't know.
I I really like that spot actually. I've seen a lot of good shows there.
I like that spot too. I mean, that's kind of like an unconventional place. I mean, they make it a venue, it's a bar, but it's not like your usual, but a lot of bands go through there, right? I went to go see my buddy's bands from New York play there, and the bands playing, opening up for them were from Los Angeles, right? Like somewhere. And it was like totally crazy to see them playing like bands that like I hate to be like, oh, they're doing this band or this kind of era kind of thing, but they were like doing like things that were kind of familiar, like whether it was like punkish, garage rockish, but also being
All the
like,
way to ragtime stuff. Right.
yeah, all in one
Banjos.
song, all
Hmm.
in one song, right? No, but it was just interesting to see
Tempo
the
changes. Tempo changes a little bit, like
yeah,
midway through. Yeah.
it's just interesting to see the new like influx of just like musicians and influences happening, right? There is a resurgence of this and that, but what is it? I'm trying to see, just trying to see. Yeah.
Big Dog's just curious, is all. That's it.
Yeah, just curious. I like to go to a show, just see what's happening, right? But sometimes it sucks going to a show by yourself, or sometimes it's absolutely cool, right?
I love doing it. I'm usually more
Yeah.
solo to shows. Yeah.
Wow, that's good. I mean, to that gift one, I think I went solo. I probably knew friends were gonna be there, right? But like, yeah, just get out of the way and just go for it, you know. even friends bands that like I know they're in a band, I just haven't gone to check them out. I'm trying to make the effort like to go just check it out. You know,
Hit the Del Taco, roll through.
Del Taco. You know, I pay with scorcho sauce.
If you have
Like
enough, yeah.
if they, if they're like $5, I'm like, I got you. You know, couple
No
packs.
worries.
Yes.
Yes. Uh, do you feel like every location in Southern California, yeah, outside of LA, even that each kind of spot has its own feeling to it, or is it kind of the same at these places that you play, like whether it be San Diego or Orange County or I don't know where exactly Southern California ends. I think that's a pretty
Where does it end? Where do
that's
we say?
I mean that's a good question.
Ventura?
I think people
Oxnard?
I don't know. I don't know. Um,
I mean, I think there's a lot of like,
I
you
think we should know. By the way, I think that we should be informed of this, but we'll figure it out.
Six Flags. I think Six Flags. That's the end of it. Valencia. You know.
Okay, Six Flags.
But you know, I mean, in Los Angeles, definitely different spots are definitely different, you know, styles and flavors of music happening, right? I mean, but there's everyone now is so eclectic, you know, like everyone's grown up with the internet and the power to like find anything they want to be interested in musically, you know. So it's like, you know, back in the day, you were into punk, you were only probably going to punk shows and whatever. But now it's like people listen to punk, but they're also like they're gonna go to the house underground rave show too. You know, like there's this. I've noticed. I've seen some people like there's this correlation of like some people into punk and house music. And I'm like, all right, cool, right? But different areas definitely are different styles, right? Like I was just saying, like I think those bands that were opening up for my buddies at Permanent Records were from the San Fernando Valley, and it was just interesting to see what they were bringing from the valley, other valley. You know, I'm like, wow, that's kind of weird, right? And then in
By the way,
San Diego,
what was your buddy's band that played
Gift.
Permanent Gift?
They're
Okay.
called Gift. They're from. I don't know if they're all from New York, but they're based out of New York. My buddy Callan plays bass for them. He used to be in I think they're still a band, but they moved from Salt Lake City to New York, and then they've just kind of created other bands. But this band Gift is pretty cool. They're definitely like bringing new flavors to the table, like being a modern band, like playing guitars, but also going to new places or interesting places with their instruments. And yeah, check them out. They're cool. So yeah, you know, their opening band, I think one of them was from the San Gabriel Valley, and it was like very interesting to see like one, even like the style of like the way they dressed, right? They weren't your typical rock band. It was really interesting because the singer kind of did look like an Oasis type, right? Like the shag and the cool denim jacket and all denimed out. But then like the bass player was kind of just like for sure just in college getting by, you know, just some Joe. And it was just an interesting group of people. Like that's even secondary for them because they were really tight as a band, you know. And again, it was kind of like punkish. It was kind of like '90s indie, you know, like Britpop-ish. But then like hold the phone here. I want to say even got a little like Midwest emo, right? Like not like crying lyrics, but just the music, the aggression, like these weird like dissonant chord usage, you know? And I was like, well, I didn't see that coming in this song, but it was like pretty interesting. Like, how do you get that? You know what I mean? And then like, but for the most part, I feel like the people you meet are generally pretty much like the same. Even throughout the country, like we went to Florida on tour. We did like 4 or 5 days in Florida. To be honest, no shade on Florida, but I never really like had like a bright outlook about Florida and playing music there. Like, oh, we got to be in Florida. You know, I always thought like that was kind of like the pit hole tour. Like maybe just along the route and you got to survive it. You know what I mean? But when we got there, one, all the people were really fucking cool, right? It was like just meeting people in SoCal that had that same vibe, you know? and the
Southern
venues were,
California, Southern Florida, kind of
yeah,
this. Yeah.
SoCal, SoFlo, right?
That's the next.
Actually,
That's the next tour.
actually, it was Northern Florida, right? Because Southern Florida is really south.
Hmm.
Um, but it was
Nice, nice, nice.
interesting, like for us, our first time there, kind of like apprehensive of what the experience was going to be like. Like, oh man, everyone in Florida was fucking cool. It was just like hanging at meeting someone here in California, right? And we even met some pretty cool dudes. I believe in Tampa. They're based out of, or they're based out of St. Augustine, but we played with them in Tampa. It's called Soft Cuff. They're a cool band. They're
That's a
like,
that's a really cool name actually. Soft Cuff. I like
it
that.
is a, it's a great name. It just sounds good, and they're an instrumental band, but they have like really cool grooves, kind of worldly, very funky, and so yeah, it's just interesting, right? I mean, there are places you go and the vibe is different. Like I feel like New York, the vibe and people are different. I mean, even though it's a different vibe, uh, our last time out there, we played at the Baby's All Right. It's a pretty well known club. I've always heard about it, and that shit popped off. I was like, wow, okay, cool. It's nice to know that like people appreciate our style of music in that big city. You know what I mean? Because I don't know what's the thing that's going out there. Is it electronic music? Is it, what is it?
Big dogs, big city. It's I
Big
mean,
big moves.
big big moves. Pretty huge.
Yeah.
Of course. Going back to we kind of mentioned this earlier. I think that you were the one that brought it up, but the great Glenn Brigman. Yeah,
Brigman,
Brigman.
GB, GB,
GB.
yeah, GB.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's up with them?
Um he was at this notorious Long Beach show. And and he's also at the other show that I caught you guys at Santa Ana the last
Yeah.
time as well.
Yeah.
Um Tremendous musician
Yeah. I mean,
and great pianist. Yeah.
yes. Yeah, Glenn for sure, hands down, is one of the most talented people I've ever been around. Right? And it's so like natural and humble. He's never like overplaying around you, or you know what I mean? Or just like, even when we were recording, he was always so nice and just like, yeah, try it again, try it again. Oh, dude, like even if you were to throw an idea out there that was like fuck, perfect, right? He'd be like, you can do it. So, but yeah, I mean, we took a break having him on tour or just playing with us for a little while. I think he just needed to focus on Triptides for a while. He had like so much music he wanted to record and try to get touring on his own too. So it was like, all right, well, like, because we're getting busy at that time too. Like, especially like, I'm talking like pre, like late 2021, like the ending of the pandemic, right? So like obviously we're gearing up to go hit it hard. So was he. So I was like, okay, let's chill. But now he's like taking a break where he's found the balance now, right? And it's like, yeah, I would love to play with Levitation Room, and we'd love to have him back in the fold. Like it's that much more just sonically powerful, right? And like he's one of us. When he's on stage, he's not an oddball. He jams out hard like the rest of them, right? And has the skills to back it up. And I joke around, there's this like, I don't know if you're into the Wu-Tang.
I've entered the Woo every now and then.
Okay, good. You should enter the Wu. I
I
mean, they're one
have.
of those bands, like how creative were they to be? I don't know, just like it's just a creative group of people, right?
Right.
They're producing all of these cool beats and random samurai stuff going on and be real samples and they
Yeah.
take on, they're like hard and like, thugging, but they're also taking on like almost cartoonish characters and even coming up with fake names, Tony Starks and this and that. And but there's a song, I think it's the Cream song. And at the end of it, it goes into, I don't know if it's a real like radio interview or if it's just like a skit. And they start talking about like, oh, who brings what to the table and blah 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 blah. And by the end of it, I think it's Method Man just saying like, this guy does this guy does that, this guy does this. But when you put us all together, we form like Voltron. Like it's on. Like individually we're all pretty good. But when we put it together, you're this like the unstoppable machine, right? So I always joke like when we have Glenn, Voltron has entered the chat. and I think we all feel that way. We feel like, yeah, hell yeah, this is levitation, you know.
Yeah, is it a major shift when he's back into the fold for a show?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, like, for sure when we're a four piece, I mean, we've always written our music to hold their own as guitar band because that's what we are. Like, I wouldn't think like, oh, this song's piano centric, and it's like, well, what the fuck we're gonna do when we don't have it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
we give in songs that we wrote with Glenn. There's always a moment like this is where the piano is, right? Or whatever. But we can also live without it live. So, but like definitely, but again, when we're touring as a four piece, always being willing to like hold our own almost, right? Even if the band has the synth guy, the piano guy, the ripping guitars, and it's like, damn, they have a full Voltron going and we're up next. I feel like confident that we still keep that hell yeah momentum for the audience, right? But when we
Yeah.
bring Glenn, it's like, I didn't even know you guys did that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, was that kind of a difficult thing to traverse with, creating and composing the songs from this new album? Because there are some, I don't want to say piano heavy, but there like piano is at the forefront of some of
Yeah.
the parts of the songs.
Well,
Did you?
some of those
Yeah.
songs in the new album were recorded like a year or two ago with Glenn, right? And like we kind of like felt like when we recorded all these songs, all the songs didn't feel necessarily like when you went from eight like beginning to end, it didn't feel like an album, right? Like for some reason, it just felt like just a bunch of songs. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Maybe we didn't listen to it in a cool sync that felt like, oh, this flows. But just in general, like one song would just feel different than the next, and then the next, and then the next, right? But then when we started listening, it's like, damn, I honestly could have played this solo better. Maybe this song needs more time. So a year or two later, we rewrote it, we recorded it. So some of those songs that do have Glenn playing, like the song Pintura, that is an actual take of Glenn playing piano from the original recording of the album, right? Like we just kind of like for that one in the studio, we just kind of pressed when John was redoing the drums, he just listening to the song on the headphones and just playing along with it again, just like redoing everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then a song like Immortal Love was another song that we recorded with Glenn and wrote with him. So still kept it. What's another old one? Not old one, but song that was on it.
Like Strange Weather or Heaven.
Well, okay, Grand Illusion is another one from we recorded with him already. Morning Star was, and the other side. And our first takes of the other side, I have a phone recording of our first jams of the other side, and Glenn was doing these really cool, like little like Korg synth things that I thought that was going to be a big part of the new album, right? But it didn't. um,
Next album, next album. We'll keep
Next
an eye out.
album for
Yeah.
sure. And but like a song like Heaven was like literally like Heaven and Revelations was the last two songs written for the album, like literally a week or two before going into the studio. And it was like Heaven was like obviously a really lush, nice little jangly song that was like, oh, for sure, some piano. It's gonna fit in perfect. But the songs that I mentioned that Glenn did record and play with us originally, write with us originally, those are his performances for the most part. Like we kind of just took them and the producer engineer kind of did the I forget what they call it, just to like sync it right with the timing.
Hmm.
And then he had another friend play songs, other songs like Heaven, Revelations. So there's like Glenn, and then there's this other guy, Joel, who's like a session player for various bands and stuff like that.
Shout out to Joel.
Joel, thanks, man. We never even met this guy. He never even heard the songs. Our producer was just like, yeah, I got a guy. He's like in Oakland. That's where our producer lives, right? It's like when I go home, when we finish the sessions, I'll call in my guy. We'll spend like a day and he'll probably just maybe do like 5 takes of each song, different piano stuff, and we'll just pick and choose what we want. And like within like a week, we had all these like heavy piano, light piano, crazy part, and we'd be like, all right, a little bit of this, note of that, so it's pretty. I gotta tip my hat to a guy that's like never doesn't even know us, never even met us. I'm just like, okay, hopefully
Look,
they like
I
any of
mean,
us.
a little bit of Joel. I mean, and that'll be
Little Joel goes along. That was a big dog move, Joel.
very big dog move, and it might be Billy Joel. That's not proven.
Right, not proven, but I mean, Billy Joel does have a permanent slot on the guest list, so
I didn't I didn't know if that was public information. I mean, like I knew about it, because like I mean
we could edit
we chat. Yeah, might need to censor that. So if it isn't here, gets out of the bag.
that.
Anyways,
But yeah,
uh,
so I mean, now like our relationship with Glenn is really strong again, and we're both. I think we all have like a good like we're all happy with what we're doing individually, musically, and also just individually, just outside life outside of music is. I think most of us are in a good place. So bringing him back into the fold is a good feeling. So now like we've written some new songs. We just haven't like tightened them up, and we hope to tighten them up and finish them with Glenn and just really have that next level that we have on our performance, our live show, really be like exemplified in the recordings. You know what I
oh
mean?
man, yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, please go listen to Triptide's music as well. If you
Triptide.
haven't,
I was actually
Triptide's
thinking about
awesome.
Glenn because he's playing tonight. If you're watching this now, he was playing last week or a few weeks ago. But he did.
Quite a few weeks ago, but it was good though.
It was a good show, dude, right?
Fantastic.
But I was thinking about him because like yeah, I mean Triptides is a great band, right? So many albums, so many just different influences that Glenn's able to like really like present as Triptides, right? And I was like, damn, I was thinking of one song and I was like of his. I was like, damn, that's not even a Triptide song. And I looked on my laptop and like years ago he recorded like he was trying to make like a solo album and he never released it. It's like a lost album. But and I was gonna text him like, dude, this one song on that album is fucking beautiful. It's such a good song. I still think about it. Like I can still remember it right now.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna remind him of it.
I mean, every member of Levitation Room is it's just well orchestrated. It's a well-oiled machine, and it's really great. I mean, to see you guys perform.
Thanks, man. I mean, it's a show. You came to see a band and really and we come from, the influences of all things rock, right? And some of our favorites are like great. I mean, maybe sometimes in some cases not like the best live performance, but like the energy and just like the power of presence, right? Like I always in almost any interview that I've done when we talk about music, I always talk about the Clash, right? Like I think they're one of the last bands that truly matter and did like interesting things, right? But like if you watch their live footage, it's just like 100%. There's no fear, there's no looking back. There's just respect for the stage and the people that came to see. So give it hell, you know? So and that's I think we're of that because like I don't I don't I mean some shows or bands and musicians you go and they're just there doing it and it makes sense, right? But sometimes it's like, fuck, dude, you look like you want to be there, dude. Like if we came to a show, show me the show, right? Like, but sometimes some people do it and I admire them just like in a solid stone face groove and that's it, and it's like, okay, maybe that is the vibe, you know? So, but then again, at the same time, some people are just holding back, and it's like, well, the songs are great, but the band was just kind of like bland. You know what I mean? Like just the performance itself, right? And that kind of sucks. It's like
Hey, we're
going
gonna be
on
naming names over at the Patreon, so please join us there. We're going to
right
be
exclusive. Who
sharing,
sucks live list?
yeah,
No, I'm
who
kidding.
sucks live list. Yeah,
Yeah, so I think we all just appreciate that people even show up, and we owe it to everybody to make sure we're sweating it out for y'all. You know what I mean? Like I still have the mindset of like I text my 5 friends that hopefully they show up to the show because then for sure we at least got 5 people there. You know what I mean? Like,
Just 5 people, just one more than the band sometimes.
I mean, I still think about those moments, like, like we're gonna play a show, and or like, when we first started, and we're talking like, we don't even know how it's gonna be. It could be a dead night, and they'd be like, "Oh, I text Bobby," and everyone would be like, "Oh, is Bobby gonna show up?" you know. And then if he does, it's like, yeah, it was like a dead show, but Bobby showed up.
No, but Bobby was there. He
Yeah.
yeah, that really changed stuff, obviously.
And so, when you have those growths, and it's still there, it's almost like a trauma, right? It's like, you want to be respectful for everyone there and just give them a show. You know?
Yeah, definitely.
I watch all these classic bands, and it's like they're giving it hell. They sound good, they look good, and they're expressing the way they needed to express it. Like even the Beatles, when they played live, were exciting to look at. The Rolling Stones, CCR, the Clash, all these things.
Beethoven.
Beethoven, Johann Sebastian Bach.
Have you not seen those paintings? I mean, he's just in it, dude. It's crazy.
Exactly, dude.
Um, Gabriel, I want to ask you about this. Cool It Baby, the
Yep.
song from the most recent release, Strange Weather, out now. Was that the first time that the band featured somebody on a song?
Outside of like Glenn.
Yeah, it's Glenn.
I'm trying to think. Let me look at yeah, I think so. Yeah. And that was kind of like, and I think Cool It Baby, no, well, Cool It Baby was like in the middle process. Like, I even talked about, I think on the last time we talked, that like how I have like, it's like Inception as a phone demo, to a little laptop demo, to a full band phone demo, and when we were thinking groovy, we were thinking dancey, right? And Julian, for a while, has been wanting to bring in someone else, like not someone else, but like a feature. He liked Jensine. We're friends with. Around at the time, she was barely exiting the Sacred Souls, and Julian's affiliated with those dudes, and he was
By the way,
rich.
great. I mean, great band, and Justine. I mean, her voice is amazing. And go check out the other stuff that she's been a part of.
I think she has her
After
own. I think she's like releasing her own music. Jensine. Yeah, check her out. And
amazing. Yeah,
so like I think Julian on his own was kind of like talking to her, like, we'd love to feature you somehow. And I think even like, because we recorded a song before the album that hasn't been released, and it kind of has like a soldies feel, and Julian sang a lot of falsetto. And I think since he doesn't feel natural singing like that, a whole song, when he hears it, he's kind of like, oh, right? But I think he sounds cool. I think it sounds great. And he's like, what if we had like Jensine sing it? And we're like, oh, that's a cool idea. But then that song never really made it to the album. But when we were playing this, Julian was kind of like, I think I want to ask Jensine to like back me up on the chorus, right? The Cool It Babies. And then there's that gap, like this break where it's just the bass. And when we were recording it, we heard just the bass. It was like, it sounds cool, but it doesn't like, it kind of like the energy just drops too much. Like live, it'll be dope. Maybe like the band drops. That's a moment for like having a groove and get the crowd.
and
Woo!
by the way, he always does every time I've seen it.
Yeah, it's
I
the
mean,
move now. Like
it's
it's a
just
move.
something about his presence.
He's the man, right?
He's the man. Yeah,
And so like Julian went with a friend of ours to, because Jensine lives in San Diego, so he went down to San Diego to go record the track with her. Like instead of just, I was like, you could just like file share, dude. Like that's what people do now. And he's like, no, no, I don't know how to do that. So my friends, we're gonna go to San Diego and pull up the files. And in that break, she didn't know what to do. And Julian was like, just do whatever you want. Like just give us a little that little solo she does. And I think she did it in a few tries, and Julian was just like, fucking perfect. So I got kudos to her. She's a sweetheart. When we played in San Diego for our first few shows, this is crazy. We did 2 nights in San Diego at the same venue.
What was
and
the venue?
Soda Bar.
Ah, yeah, tremendous place.
Yes. Yeah, I love it. And 2 nights in a row is like, fuck yeah, dude, we're gonna kill it 2 nights in a row. Hell yeah.
Plus, you get to
And she
leave the stuff there, and you can just like, yeah, and just
exactly, exactly. And she came out for both shows. She's come out to a few shows just to hop on and sing with us. And yeah, it's really sweet of her to do that. I think,
yeah, she was a
you
great
know,
addition to that song for sure.
thanks, man. Yeah, I think in the future we are wanting to collaborate with more people, whether they're performing or singing on tracks or they are producing something with us, for us, you know? So it's just a matter of just opening up those doors and, getting to work.
Is there a song from this album that just really resonated with you for whatever reason?
One that I like a lot, or the one that stands out to me, and like at first I thought it was just going to be respectfully good song, but filler a little bit, And it's the song Grand Illusion, Expectations. And the reason, I mean, I love the song. Live, I like playing it because I think I really like show a lot of my like personal style and personality in guitar playing in that song. And but like whenever I listen to that song, I always love Julian's lyrics. He's a good writer. He's very thoughtful about what he's writing about and his choice of words and language. But Grand Illusion, I just feel like is one of his best like lyrical additions to Levitation Room. Like it's very cool. It's very modern right now. He's bringing up things like manipulating or how the algorithm is it real? It's not real, right? We can make it whatever we want. This thing called life, almost, right?
Yeah.
And just very cool. Like when I heard him, like when I finally heard the lyrics for it, I'm like, fuck, this song's really cool, dude. Like, damn, this is probably like low key one of the more I wouldn't say intricate, but like more I don't I don't know if I should say interesting, just a more I don't know,
It just stuck out to you.
just sticks out more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Um
And then live, I love playing it. I get to do a lot of pedal work and just like I don't know, yeah. That one
I
and also sorry, Scene for an Exit, mainly because that was the first track we recorded for it, and then like we let the producer kind of like do what he wanted, and that's what at the end of that song, that's why you get all these like backward loops and strings happening, because it was him putting his touch on, the fade out of a song. And I was like, fuck, that's fucking cool. We should do more of that, which I thought we were, but I guess maybe it's more tasteful when it's only happening once or a few times, you know what I mean? Rather than like, okay, 10th time on the album now, you know what I mean? But that's always like a really cool thing to do. Like, like it's psychedelic, but it's not like using our guitars and solos. It's like this soundscape happening that's trippy.
yeah, I love that video even though I didn't make it into the cut. I love that video for that song. And so it's just, yeah, tremendous, really cool. It's cool. It's whatever. My shit got cut at the
There's
floor.
a director's cut where it's all you.
Yeah, I can't wait for that to fucking finally come out, dude. No,
Yeah.
no, that was yeah. I really enjoyed hearing that song, especially at the time. I was like, oh, it kind of gave me a little taste for like,
I
because that
think,
was
but when we were shooting the video, when we were initially we were supposed to fake play live, but then everyone's like, "Well, let's just play. We could practice." And we ended up playing a lot of new songs for the most part, right?
hmm hmm
And so, and that was also kind of like a test run for people like you that I know come to shows and know the songs to be like
I judge. Yeah.
heavily judging on new material that's not complete yet, but
I mean,
thanks.
especially if anybody knows me, I'm always really judgmental about other people's music that they're
Critical.
bringing to the table. Yeah, yeah. I'm a known critic. No, that was really dope. And I mean, we talked about that the last time that you were on here, but like, I forget the director's name.
Alfredo.
Just like tremendous, like really making just the feeling in the room like super comfortable.
Yeah,
Like,
Alfredo's the man. We worked with him for a long time, and he does things outside of music videos, so he gets how to make things happy and just knock it out the park.
Yeah, one song that really stuck out to me from this new album was Immortal Love.
Yeah, that one for sure is up there too. That's probably like number three for sure. If not number two, I'm sorry, right?
Dude, but still top three. Like that's a good ranking.
We're
Like,
in the right spot. And also, like, I think also from this album, that one live is one of my favorites to all of our favorites to play live because it's like it's this journey, but it's changing, right? We start slow and then we drop, and then it gets like a little groovy and wild, right? And then it drops again, and then live we add more to it, right? Live, so we get to go to outer space with it too. Um, but yeah, that one's rad too. That was definitely a big shot in the dark, having two songs, technically three songs on this album that were like mini journeys, like Immortal Love, The Other Side, and Revelations. They're like, I don't know if you notice, our songs are, we do it kind of purposely, are not that long, But so for us, a 4 almost 5 minute long song is a long song, you know?
I never
Even
really
a three
noticed that.
minutes,
Wow,
even a
but
3 minute song for us is like, man, is that too long?
are we pushing it?
Like, yeah, it's like, I don't know, dude, are we Zeppelin or, you know? No, I mean, it's a conscientious move a little bit, just in the sense of like, the classic rock pop songs were really short and, you're in and you're out and enjoyable to listen like 10 times in a row.
Right.
So sometimes like for us, when we write a new song or when we're writing this album, it's like, oh, it clocks in at, you know, 2:48, perfect, or it clocks in at three something. Okay, we're pushing it, but all right. I have Immortal Love right here. That's, well, 3:47. I'm saying that's a journey.
Yeah, that's I mean,
3:47.
no, but there is a lot of different changes in that. So I feel like maybe because the tempo's changing and stuff ramps up and kind of decreases and you're going through a journey that like it but it doesn't feel, I mean, I'm not saying that it feels long in a negative sense. It feels like there's way more than that in
Right,
a
right.
fantastic way. And yeah, I mean,
Sick.
so I know that you've been like asking me like, hey, like what's your favorite from, the album? And I just wanted to say it publicly.
Thank you. Glad,
Yeah,
glad you
finally.
did it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks, man.
Um, do you feel like your top three songs though, do you feel like those would resonate with you if you had no hand in making them? Like as an audience member, you'd be like, these three from this specific album are like,
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the beauty of this album specifically for all of us is that like we made the songs and the quality, fidelity that are like songs that like, yeah, if the Discover Weekly playlist popped up on Spotify and these bands were cranking out these songs, I'd be like, oh, this is pretty tight, you know? So it's like, yeah, I enjoy all my songs that we've written, but for sure, I even love the variety of the way it flows. This album, we're not like, I don't think we recreated ourselves once on that album. Like there isn't two Scene for an Exit sounding songs or two Pinturas sounding songs. You know what I mean?
yeah. To that though, although it doesn't sound the same, they all blend together really nicely, if that
Sure.
makes sense. It's like
Yeah.
it switches, but it's under the same umbrella of like this is this album. I mean, and I'm not really explaining that correctly, but I mean,
I mean, that was
I've
kind of like
really been
somewhat of
digging
the
it.
idea when we were recording the album. I mean, that was the problem when we first recorded it, because for sure we cut out like three or four songs from the first version of this album that we're reworking on now, right? And but these songs put together, although kind of different flavors and styles of Levitation Room, we were able to put it to feel like one body of work. Back again to like say a band like The Clash, their album London Calling is like this hodgepodge of influences happening, but it feels like a good body of work.
Mhm.
And not that I'm saying we were trying to write our London Calling album, because that's like a 2 disc, 20 song album, you know, all great songs. And again, one of those feelings of like no song really sounds the same. It's like a different vibe. That was kind of like an influence of like thinking behind like the flow of the album songs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there is a definite flow. Real quick, London Calling, is that a perfect album for you?
Yeah, I bring it up almost not every time, but I bring it up pretty often. I listen to it. I always come back to it. Right here on my desk, I have the Clash, Last Gang in Town book here, right? So yeah, there's a big affinity that I have for it. I think that was like the first record as a teen, like a young teenager, my dad played for me on his record player. I was getting into punk music, and he's like, "Oh, punk! I got the Clash," and I remember him playing it, and I was like, "So fucking cool." You know, I thought it was so cool that my dad just had the record, you know, and that he had a record player and showed me it. And so on my own, I bought the CD and just thought like, this is a perfect record. This is a rock record, right? This is just an expression of just it's almost like an expression of just, you know, a homage to all the influences, whether it's rock and roll, wherever whatever part of the world it comes from, you know, because there's like ska songs on there, there's reggae songs on there, there's kind of rockabilly songs on there, there's, you know, these kind of
All the
creative,
stuff that you love,
all
that
the
you are
stuff I
known
love.
for making. And a lot of people don't know this. Your ghostwriting has really like been happening recently, and I'm stoked to see that. Kendrick used a little bit of your stuff, and
A couple loops, but you know, but there's some albums that like have that one same flow and feel like, and I think it's a perfect album. Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars.
oh, okay.
I believe the whole album's written in the key of like G or C, right?
Is
And you
it?
can tell,
Oh,
yeah, it's all just this fluid key signature that you're kind of like, by the time you're done with the album, all these chord progressions are just so homey, right? Because you're kind of hearing them over and over again in different fashions, you know. Um, that's a perfect fuck song for sure. Right?
10
But
out of 10.
but that 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10. But that album has like its specifically one thing, this like glam rock, like almost like story, right? This like show, this musical, right? So different aspects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, is there a favorite Bob Dylan album or a perfect Bob Dylan album?
You know, depending how I'm feeling, I always go to two, right? If I'm feeling like a badass and I need to just like be like an electric guitar dude, I go with Highway 61, right? Mike Bloomfield's ripping on the guitar. God knows what Bob is saying, right? The piano player's killing it. Queen Jane approximately, you know, freaking great album. But one that I think probably is like more closer to like what a good 180, but still keeping like the essence of a live band and just trying something new, which is the John Wesley Harding album.
What's
It's
on
like
what's on the
John
cover
Wesley Harding is the
as well?
song John Wesley Harding. What else is on there? Dear Landlord is on there. As I Went Out One Morning is on there. A lot of good songs, but the whole thing about it, it's like the late 60s, early 70s is where like, you know, Bob was getting into these big, I'm not saying productions, but he's having these freaking crazy rock and roll bands in the studio with him, cranking out, you know, Blonde on Blonde, Highway 61, right? And, you know, he gets into this motorcycle accident after those tours and goes on hiatus. And when he comes back, I think one of the first albums is John Wesley Harding, but the whole idea was like, from what I know, that he wants to still be playing with a live band, but like without all the flash of modern music almost, because it's just like drums, real simple, really cool drum beats, and almost like a countryish feel. Guitar, a little electric guitar and bass, very simple, but great songs, great songwriting, great lyrics. All along the Watchtowers on there, the
Mm-hmm.
original version. And I think it's kind of like a counter to the time of like, you know, the late 60s psychedelia happening, right? God knows everything that's happening, you know, Sergeant Pepper's and everything that's going on. You know, this album came out in 1967. So in the peak of everything happening, Bob Dylan goes the other way, doing John Wesley Harding, just like a really stripped down country band and just cranking out these like stories, you know, beautiful stories. John Wesley Harding's this character who's like an outlaw Robin Hood type that does good for those and kind of like screws over the rich and all that, you know.
Much like, I'm not gonna name names. Someone that we both know.
Of course, right? Yeah, he would hate if we said it. Yeah, exactly like that.
A big dog that we both know. Anyways, yeah, I mean maybe that's too much information right there. Anyways, I mean that's just a clue, and I don't, just just saying, a good big dog. Um, do you think that going back to not Bob Dylan's music, but music that Bob Dylan listens to currently,
Mhm.
do you think that any of the songs from Strange Weather could have made an appearance on any other Levitation Room releases? Like, do you think that it could have made it on like Headspace or something like that, or at least like one of them?
Oh,
Or
interesting. I think, man. Well, yeah, I sort of. I think like I'm looking at the tracks right now. I think for sure. I mean, I would say a song like either "The Other Side" or "Immortal Love" would fit in those. Mainly because like on like say Headspace, we have songs like "Star Speaks Softly" or "Dream Within a Dream" and "Forever Tomorrow" that are kind of like slower songs, but they have like a lot of movement. They go from one slow piece to the next and then to these big booming outros or whatever. And I feel like they could kind of be lumped in that world. Yeah. Maybe Revelations on Ethos, right?
mhm.
It's a little more hard hitting, garagier, more evolved, of course. Right?
It's a good answer. I like that.
Yeah.
Do you feel like some songs can only be written at a certain time? Like,
Yeah,
you,
absolutely.
yeah, you can only produce this at a certain point.
I think so. I mean, part of some of these classic songs that we like to listen to, people were capturing lightning in a bottle, really. You know what I mean? And sometimes a product of, you ever hear a band like re-record something, and it's like, it just doesn't slap the same. You know what I mean? Because it's that moment. I mean, I kind of feel like we did that with Friends. We re-recorded Friends on Headspace on a higher fidelity, on a quality that we'd be like, this is the way you should listen to it. And the numbers prove that it doesn't slap as hard as the demo version. And that demo version was the right place and time for us to do it. It was in our favor to not be lazy and set up a mic and just record it. You know what I
What
mean?
that was recorded after what was the concert that is recorded after that?
Julian went to a Devendra Banhart.
That'll do
Yeah,
it. That'll do it.
that'll do it. And so yeah, that some things could only be then and there. Some things could only be of that time. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I feel like a band that's of their time and that is like the Smiths. Johnny Marr's guitar playing is one of a kind for that era. Maybe now, I mean, he's still playing. It's freaking awesome. But like, let's say he's brand new now. Maybe now, like 30, 40 years later, that guitar styling is like accessible and more
Grander
called
scale.
right. Yeah, so people will accept it more. But at that time, it was kind of like a unique thing to do, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
like you gotta imagine, there's punk, there's heavy metal happening, then there's grunge that's after that. So it's like, who cares about jangly chords? But he seems to have been, 30, 40 years later, the riffs he wrote when he was 19 years old are timeless.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Um, how do you describe the feeling that you get from both, creating and listening back to and just playing Strange Weather in the songs from it?
It's exciting. There's definitely like more energy when not more energy, but there's definitely like, when we're playing Immortal Love, for sure the whole band's like, locked in with each other too, because we all love that song. It's a new song. But just in general, when we're playing,
Immortally, you love it, right? I mean, it's like
yes,
it's named that for a reason.
right, yeah. And since they're new songs, a lot of these songs are being played to people for the first time. So we're trying to give them their best, representation and presentation of them. So it's like, yeah, we get a little bit more gassed up for it, right? Show them this song is better than that old one that for sure they want to hear that we're eventually going to get to, but enjoy this first one first,
Look, people want to hear the Friends theme song. And I mean, you guys covered it once, and like people think
Went
that you guys
viral.
are
TikTok
the
couldn't handle
Rembrandts.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, they will play the song, but just there's some other great songs in between.
just gotta hang tight.
Just
Hang
yeah,
tight.
and enjoy the visuals, and maybe check on what kind of shoes they're wearing. There's just take it in. That bleeds us right into the promotional segment of this before we wrap it up here. So, yeah, Strange Weather, the latest release is out now. Go pick up a copy of the vinyl through greenwayrecords.com, and as well as I think that there is stuff on the Bandcamp as well, which is at levitationroom.bandcamp.com, I believe. If not, whatever the correct link is will be linked below of whatever you're listening to this on. Stay up to date with the news and cool memes and all this good stuff by following the band on Instagram at levitation_room, I believe is what it is.
Right,
And Church of Pickle has some merch, but also greenwayrecords.com has some merch as well.
right.
And are we still in the process of like creating the archive of like the leftover merch from
Yeah,
different
that should be
tours?
coming up by going live by the end of summer. I'm working that out with Nikki at Church of Pickle. Uh, yeah, just get some knickknacks up there.
Sick. So keep up to date with that. Maybe some shirts from some previous tours and whatnot.
Posters.
Posters, ringer shirts.
Ooh,
I mean vinyls. Maybe a Greenway sticker every now and then on there. Maybe, you know,
definitely.
that they'll all be released in due time. So hang tight in the meantime. And do we have anything else to promote, Gabe?
And we're going to be on the East Coast, back on the East Coast in September. So looking forward to all that.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, it's safe to say with that. Again, that's at levitation_room on Instagram. Gabriel, number three, we did it, and I think we did a bang up job.
I think so too.
Thank you, man. I'm gonna stop recording this. I'll talk to you in a minute, all right?
Okay.
Thank you.